How much does he charge?
No, I can do that. Oh, crikey, I can't see the screen, but at least I can see I've got something in the vice. That's one thing.
What's that, mate?
Well, I hope you lads all welcome, Charles. So over to you, Charles.
Okay, I've got to get rid of that. Got it. Well, good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can see me, hear me. I hope you. Could you all give a wave? Yeah, thank you. You can hear. Thanks for that. Right. Cheerio. I'm gone now. I've done it. I'm out of here. Right. So, blame Derek for this. I haven't done one of these before. This is completely new territory. The threads will break. I will lose the materials. The dog will start barking halfway through. I will burst into tears. It'll be a usual sort of evening, really. So what I've just assembled some patterns that really, I guess that I know how to tie. So there'll be thread buzzers, black and peacocks, but no. I'm going to do a duck stun because I'm so okay. Can I go off piste a bit here, Derek?
Yeah, of course you can.
I'm so sick and tired of seeing people tie the duck stun and it's always tied wrong. I'm sorry, but it generally is. And I saw one notable that says, "Oh, well, I always have the wing this length because it looks like the natural." No, it didn't. He just made the damn thing too big. And so I wanted to show you a bit about proportions, a bit about dubbing, a bit about all this stuff. So we're going to do a duck stun. I've got a funny little pattern that's been doing really, really well for me recently. It's a Balloon Caddis, but it's a Balloon Caddis with a bit of difference. But there's a little story to that. Because Derek kept going on and on and on about it, not me, I didn't want to do it. Derek requested it. I've got a Down and Dirty Damsel there. And as the hook's already in the vise, I think I'd better start with that. And then I've got some options, really, and see how we go. Now, this is only going to work if you guys ask questions. So no matter what it's why on earth do you do it that way? I do it this way. This is about learning, and mostly all the things I've picked up, I've learned from other people, and I still do. A person you really should get on this is Lee Hooper. I don't know if he's already been on, but get Lee on because he does a parachute. I still can't fathom how he does it. I really don't know how he does it. But anyway, by the by, let's get cracking. I'll start with this one. Cunningly, I'll bring in the exhibit so I can show you what we're going to be using.
Safari, yeah. If you try and launch meeting, yeah.
Try and launch meetings, always a good idea.
Yeah.
Right, so I've got my various bits here. I don't know how anyone does this, so I'll be guided by anyone who has had any kind of information about this. But anyway, I'm going to start with this Down and Dirty. So I've cheekily already done, I better turn this on or else you can't see the thing, can you really? That would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
I've got them all on mute at the moment, Charles. But
have you? Yeah. Oh, no, don't do that. It's no fun at all.
But what they'll do, they'll unmute themselves, ask you a question, and then mute again, because otherwise there'd be a load of noise in the background.
Yeah, they're far more technically advanced than me. Right, I'm going to switch to the vise. Hopefully you can all see that, is it?
Sorry, Derek, we've got a few technical issues. I'm going to come out and come back in, mate.
All right, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Right, so I think is that record? I think that is. Right, so I hope everyone can see that hook. It's about the same average size as a meat hook. Is that all right, Derek? Can you see it?
Yeah, perfect.
Can everyone see it? Good. Right, well, that's it with the eyes on. Now, the eyes are these little characters here. They're painted they're bonefish eyes. They're what we use for. Has it gone off again?
Yeah, camera's gone again.
Oh, what?
There we go.
I don't know why it's doing that, because it is on. It's on record. So I wonder if that will do better. So these little eyes here, can you see that as it comes into view?
Yeah.
There. They're painted bonefish eyes, and they're lead eyes. So that gives it its weight and it gives it its movement. And that's important. That's really crucial. Now, the other thing too is to don't use Dyneema thread. And rather typically, oh gosh, this is going to be a very huge nuisance. Why is it? Does anyone know why it keeps turning off like that?
Anybody got a clue?
Probably the heat.
I'm the one, mate.
Don't you start, Chris.
No, you start. It probably is the heat. Right.
Yeah. Fishing Monday.
Yeah. Well, the Oscar's closed, isn't it? So,
Charles, why are your eyes underneath and not on top?
Right, I'll come on to that in a sec. Right. Oh, damn it. Right, so the eyes are underneath to counterbalance the movement of the fly.
Come out of that. Can you?
And it's a lot easier to actually to build up the dressing. And I've always done it that way. If you look at the original, I'm going to have to keep clicking
I
this.
know what that is. Right, cancel.
If you look at the original Cat's Whisker, David Train, I think, was the guy that came up with the pattern. I think it was David Train. He tied the eyes underneath, and it's gone again. Taft Price did too. So it seems to be a counterbalance when it actually fishes through the water. So that's why I tie them underneath.
Okay.
Right, next thing is to get the marabou, and marabou seems to have gone out of fashion a little bit. Now you can get so many different colours, but it's got to waft properly for me. That sounds really silly, but I will search and search and search until... Derek, is there any way that you can figure and fathom that why that's happening?
It seems to be going into standby all the time.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I might have to come out of this, but anyway, that marabou's got to have waft factor. So it's got to move, and it's got to have depth of fiber down here, right down at the base by the stem for me. And you just rip it off, just rip that marabou off, and then just sever with your scissors. And I'll have to just keep doing that. I do apologize.
No, that's all right, Charles.
You just moisten the fingertips. That's really important. This is an old dodge shown to me by Bob Carnill years ago. Dear old Bob. I don't think he's with us anymore, as he died. But that just compresses all those fibers and makes them manageable. So you just moisten the fingers, rotate in the fingertips there, and then they can just go on top of the hook. And that's the other thing, is that you don't get any lumps and bumps if you have the eyes where they are there, because you can actually lock that marabou just immediately behind the eyes, and you can get it nice and neat. So I'm just going to wind that thread all the way down, really locking and cinching that in. Now, when it goes off again, could you say it's gone again? And I'll just press the button. Now, the next job is to
run again.
All right, okay. The next job is that you run your fingertips down, right down to the base, and just nip it out. Never cut marabou. Never cut marabou. Now, what you can do, this is so slick up here. I've got everything to hand. Could you tell Alex that I actually was organised? Now, this is really cunning. In order to put that, everyone seems to put blue in the tail. In order to get it either side, it's gone again. To get that in, you just fold it in half around that thread and slide it. And it just goes in on top like that. So simple, so easy. And then you just wind in, and then you get 2 strands either side, which is what you want. Now, don't cut it there because you'll cut the marabou. Pull it up above that marabou and just cut it like so, because the moisture of that, the fibers, will actually draw it into the pattern. It's gone again, I know.
Yeah. You could do with Alex there to press the button for you.
You could. I'll train the dog. I'll get the dog to do it in a minute. Right. So the next thing, you will not be able to get this material. You will not get it. Okay. Because this is old school dubbing that I did years and years ago. That's medium olive and it's mohair. But you can use, it's just a blend. Or you can you can blend some seal's fur.
Go again.
I bet no one else has these problems.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Really?
It keeps going out of focus sometimes on some of them. Yeah, they have to put their finger on the vice to bring it back into focus again.
Is this in focus?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, right. Now this is, you've got 2 different materials here. You've got seal's fur here in my right hand, which is probably your left, and you've got the mohair there. It really doesn't make any difference. No ribbing, it's gone again. Why does it keep doing that? I'm gonna try this.
It's still plugged into the charger.
Yeah.
Right, that might be the problem. It's getting too warm.
Yeah.
Oh, what, the actual?
Yeah, unplug it from the charger.
What? Which? No, because it's just linked into the machine.
Oh, so it's not on.
No, it's not into any charge. No, I've got the battery fully on. Anyway, look, we'll have to just go through it as best we can.
Yeah.
Now the next job is to get this dubbing, and I don't use wax. I'm just laying it along that thread, moistening my fingers because it's very, very dry, and this is my kitchen. Well, actually, it's the dog's domain, really. And I've just laid it here, but I've opened up the little fibers. That's really important, that all that, and it's what I call giving it air, because you can see daylight through the actual fibers. Now, I've just rotated my fingertips, finger and thumb, around that leading edge. And I'm just going to slide it up to that little area there, just where I tied in that blue bit of flash. Again, moisten those fingers, spin and hold, spin and hold. So I'm just trapping with my thumb, bringing it up to the forefinger and spinning like so. Now that will actually create a dubbing loop or a noodle, and you can control that. So I can actually ease this down and spin and hold. And I can alter the density, the actual shape of it. I can do so much with it.
So are you just allowing your thread to hang and then spinning your thread?
Yeah, literally doing that. Just literally there, letting it spin. You can unspin it. You can do anything you like with it.
Wow. I always have trouble with dubbing.
Most people do. It is an art worth learning. So I just pinch it out and tie it in. That's done. That job's done. So the next thing I want to do is, this is the bit that Derek really wants. He's been waiting patiently for this all week. Not just today, all week. All right?
Yeah.
So I've got some, it doesn't really matter. I've got crystal hair, I've got flasher bill. It doesn't really matter as long as it's relatively fine, okay? So a bunch of this, not too much. I don't know what a bunch is, but it's this much. It's a pinch. And I just lay that back so it's running back about the shank length down, because you'll pull, as you pull down, I think I've cracked it. There's a little red button on top, and I had the temerity, that's a big word for a Friday evening, the temerity to press it, because I didn't know quite what it was going to do. I think it's actually started the video. Anyway, so I'm just going to wrap 2 or 3 turns. Now, what I was going to say right at the beginning of all this, before I got terrified, is that the thread I'm using is, I normally use G.E.Nymph, okay? It is not G.E.Nymph. This is proper, proper thread. It's thread. It's 12 naught, just olive, okay? And I just take those wraps right down to the eye of the hook, literally, right the way down there. And forget about them. Bring them back up. And I make sure I'm fairly happy with where that shape is. Trim it. Now I do 2 things. One, I've got some prepared little partridge hackles here. And I tend to go and try, wherever possible, I'll match the color of partridge to the overall body coloration, okay? My next job is to moisten my fingers again. This is not so good if it's picric acid dyed, which this actually is. Shouldn't really be doing this with picric, but hey.
Have a little bowl of water.
It's funny you should say that. I've got that. Trouble is, I'm going to drink from it, Derek, and I'm going to ingest it anyway. So,
yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. I've got this awful habit when I'm painting. I've got this dreadful habit of because you need to get your brushes points, your sable brushes pointed, and I'll dip it in color and just go like that across my lips, and I've got ultramarine going in there, chrome yellow going in there, vermilion. Oh God, it's like a toxic wasteland in my mouth. Anyway, so that's
the way your tongue is brown.
Yeah, and I'm foaming. Anyway, so that's the hackle tied in. I'm going to bend it back and get it out the way. This is where you can do a little bit of really funky tying here if you want. Oops. Oh gosh, I've just thrown most of the partridge feathers of Steve Cooper's entire stock on the floor. Anyway, so here I've got some orange. Now, listen up, folk. Orange and this damsel are an absolute harmonic. When they're in the water, they'll blend and become brown, and it gives a brown olive. And it really is a trigger for fish. And I don't know if I've even talked about it. Well, I have now. But whatever you do, it's worth the effort, just sliding that up. There's that dubbing method. Who was it that asked about that? Someone asked on the call.
May I struggle, Chris?
Was it
you, Chris? Here you go. This is just for you. All right. Everyone else, just make a drink, do what you want. You just literally lay it across the thread, all right? But support it with the forefinger, okay? Yeah. And just spin it. Just get it on there. Moisten the finger. You'll get dubbing on it. It's ugly, really, but there you are. And just spin it around so you form a little tight cone right up there. So a little tight nodule, if you like.
Yeah. And
then all you do is just don't wax the thread.
Yeah, because it'll stick.
It'll stick. Just slide it up there and make one turn, okay? Just one turn or one revolution.
Tighten it up.
And then hold the base and just spin. Spin and hold. Spin and hold. And you get this lovely little... And that seals fur. Look how fine that one's been able to get that.
Yeah.
So there we are. And then I'm going to get in with a bit of dubbing here. And the nice thing about this is you know, once you understand it, once you understand dubbing, you can do all sorts of things with it. You can make it work on your behalf rather than fight it the whole time, which is what you don't want. So I want to just get a bit more color in there. I don't want that color. I'll stay with this. I won't make it overcomplicated. Now, the next thing, and this is where you do need a rotatory vise, really. It's certainly going to be helpful, is you want to make sure that you've got the underside wraps covered, because at the moment, all that work there is literally just covered with the wraps of thread. And you don't want that. It just looks wrong somehow. So just little touches of dubbing. I mean, you could even do this, actually. Never thought of doing this, but, you know, necessity being the mother of invention. Let's just get some strands and put those underneath there. There, so we've got a little tiny wing, an underwing. How cool is that? There we go.
It's a bit of movement.
Yeah. And then all I'm going to do is get my hackle pliers. No expense pair. These are about, I think they're about, I don't know, a few quid, about £4, these hackle pliers. Great on this type of hackle, pretty rubbishy on anything else. And just take a wrap or two. Don't worry about it. Don't, you know, you're going to be putting wraps through dubbing. Gosh, how awful. You're not finishing at the head. You know, you'll be, you know, be a blinding flash of lightning from above. And, you know, you'll never go to fly dressing heaven now, of course. Well, you will, because that's where it needs to be. You can fold this back and you get the leg working on your behalf. There. Here we go. So there's my thorax across the top where it needs to be. And because my thread is a harmonic, it will blend into the overall thing. So I'm not going to finish at the head. I'm going to finish behind the eye. There. You'll probably say, well, yeah, but what about varnishing it? Well, okay, I'll show you how you do that. Let me just finish up that stage. What you do, and this is not a new thing. This was devised by G.E.Nymph Skews, of all people, to finish his flies. He never used anything other than this method. So he put the varnish on the thread. I don't think he used a whip finish tool, but I don't know how he did finish, but he ran it through and that sucked up into those varnish, those thread wraps. And if you hear a noise, it's the dog snoring, actually. And then you hold up the loose strands of that shimmery material, just cut it. And there it is, Derek. There's your Down and Dirty Damsel.
Perfect.
Well, it's not. Well, it is. It's not bad, actually. But you've got nice little accents of orange. You've got everything going on. But the important thing is the weight is there and it undulates. Now, I don't know if anyone does this, but intermediate line there, floating line here. That's my trusty 5-weight right there. There it is. Long leader. If you're going to use it on a long leader and a floating line, you might have to go up a line weight because it's quite a heavy fly. If you want a shorter leader, you can't manage that. Don't get too upset. Just use a very slow, a hover line or an intermediate line and shorten the leader. But do use a taper with this because that will turn it over. I'm with Pete Cockrell on that. We're great fans of tapered leaders. So that's how I do it. And I tend to invariably fish it in a figure of 8 retrieve. Okay, so that's that one. And I think we'll do something refined now. So I haven't even got the dog to tidy up after me. It's disgraceful. No, that's a still water fly. Would anyone mind terribly if we did a river fly?
No, you do whatever you fancy.
No. These things are about the people that are watching, not me. You know, I've got that out of the way without too much, you know, fuss, I hope. Now, is everyone happy with that? Has anybody got any questions about that pattern? The hook size, by the way, this is good old classic. Crikey, I came across these. This is a size 8 Wet Fly Supreme, Drennan Wet Fly Supreme. I'm sure there's an equivalent Kamasan out there somewhere. But any of the hooks that you'll see at about a size, probably a size 10 classic, you know, sort of wet fly style, and you've got it. If you want to make this very, very secure, just put a lick of maybe of epoxy resin over the top. You know, when this came about, you didn't have epoxy resin, but it's always on. It's not on a long shank hook. It's on a short shank hook. Tail's quite long, about 2-3 times the length of the actual shank. And there it is. There we are.
You got the weight, you got the movement, you got the color.
You've got everything. But also, Derek, the important thing about this, and I'll show you, is when it's wet, it gets very, very slim. It's not bulky. Yeah. And that was the whole idea behind it. It was crafted for lake down fish. Lake down fish get very, very fussy, very difficult. And you had to use long leaders. You're on 18, 20 plus feet, figure of 8ing, and you had to cast a long way. It was one of those instances where you really did need to cast a long way. And you just had to make sure that the whole pattern moved and was lithe, and it just wasn't too bulky, because it needs to grab depth. The more bulk you have, the less. You know, one of the most buoyant patterns I've ever seen is a blob. Actually, you don't need to put a foam tail in it; it just free falls. It really does. So, yeah. Anyway, right. I'm gonna, for a lovely chap that wondered about dubbing, I'm going to go to an old friend of mine. And I learned more about dubbing from Roman Moser than anyone I know. Okay, so I've got a barbless hook in there. And Roman, he would be using Dyneema, so I best use some. Now, you'll probably quite like this. I'm going to do a really, really quick Sedge Pupa. I mean, super quick. All right? Okay. So, eyes down. We're going to get a bit of material for this. And I'm going to use this glittery, look at that. That should wake you lot up. Look at that. So, I'll need some yellow. Now, I want to dampen that down. And so let's go over here into the damper down non-yellow area. This was working perfectly up until the time I've lost everything. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Where are you? Oh, there we are. So I want to just give it a sort of an orangey, that sort of ambery, nymphy thing. So I'm going to just pinch that out. So I'm going to just put maybe percentage-wise about 30% with this real beautiful russety orange. It looks like a russet apple, actually. It's that lovely sort of dappledy thing. And I'm just going to blend this together very quickly. Just pull it apart and just blend it. Because it's Angora and synthetics, don't overwork it, don't crush it. And this is something you learn when you're working with dubbing, is not to overwork it. Now, at this point, For those of you that are struggling with dubbing, you can do an awful lot that will help you. So by stranding this out, I'm actually pulling out individual strands. So instead of a great lump of stuff, I've got this really, really light stuff, you know, these individual strands. Now, again, I'm going to aim to put this up around about there. You're going to look quite like this. This is really speed tying. And I'm going to tie it in there, moisten my fingers, and spin and hold and spin and hold. All right. And I'm just going to wind that down, let it unravel. Look at that. That's pretty cool. You can just do what you like with it. And just run it down there. So I've got the bolt there, taking it all the way down. I'm going to make it even smaller by just pulling. Yeah. So I've taken it all the way down there, and I can, if I want, and go, ooh, quite like it a little bit bulkier than that. It's a sedge pupa after all. I'm going to take it back up. Now I need a rib. All right. This is quite fun. This is, Roman showed me this and I went, oh, you've got to be kidding me. You want a rib. So you strand it out a bit more. And you make a locking turn down there. You go down there, let's say, get right down to the bottom. And you take all that stuff out, like so, onto a little tail. So you wind that in, and then you take the thread in open spirals up through there, and you got a rib. Now that you've got to admit, that's kind of fun. I mean, it's so easy. And then if you want, you can just trim it so you get the gills on the side. Little cut there, got that little tail, trim it around. Now, next thing he did is he doesn't use expensive materials. And this is a good old Indian cock neck. And we get so het up about, oh, we've got to have a genetic this and a genetic that. No, you don't, because sometimes they're not desirable. The stems are too thick, hackles too heavy and spiky. And this is somewhere between I suppose a hen hackle and a cock hackle. It's really smack dab in between the two. So I've just tied that in. I don't suppose you really need to bother about the hackle plier, but we'll go through the niceties. A couple of turns there. Now I put the body about 3/4 of the shank length there. And I'm making about 3 or 4 passes, 3 or 4 turns with that hackle. And just wrap that through. And then if you want a minimum amount of movement, just hold it and pull up, and that will lock that in. So I've made 1 revolution, then just pulled up. I mean, if you want security, just do it again, but you don't really need to. Trim that out and just get some of the, you want a creamy one, really, for the head. And Roman was absolutely adamant that you had this sort of creamy color in the head. I don't know why, but it kind of worked. I mean, it used to work beautifully on the trout, and I see absolutely no reason at all why it shouldn't work on any freestone river anywhere. Ones that have got water in them and trout, mostly. So, same thing again. Pinch and loop. There's that noodle dub rather. Take it down there, wind it back up. It's not pretty.
But he catches fish.
Absolutely. Strand that out. But it's a wonderful exercise. Oops. There you go. And you just take the scissors and trim out there. Here we go. That's good. That's in. And the job's done. That's nice and simple. And you can just trim it away if you want real. So you got this little embryonic wings and stuff, a lot of movement going on. And there it is, the sort of simplest amber nymph you'll ever see in your life.
What
we don't want.
What hook was it?
Sorry?
What hook was it? A size 10
Ah, yeah, no. It was. I got these hooks in America, and I'm not sure you can get them. They're called firehole sticks.
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. They're really good. And I tie my mayflies on these. They're just the job. Yes.
From Deer Creek.
From Deer Creek. They're bringing them in, are they? They're really good. I like them a lot because they do different shapes, don't they? They do different sizes and shapes. And some of their other hooks are really, really good. Anyway, so yeah. It's on those. So if you could share that link with everybody else, I'd be grateful, because I don't think you could get them in this country. Right. So let's do something a little bit more normal. Well, no, not normal. No, we don't want to do normal. Why would we ever want to do normal? This is a fly that I tie down to size 16, sometimes size 18, not necessarily on this hook. Now, you probably will have come across that size 10 short. That's, no, I'll stick with this. No, I won't. No, I won't. There's no point in having this stuff and talking about it if I'm not going to use it. No. This is the Fullingmill one. I quite like their barbless hooks, I must admit. This isn't about product placement or anything else. This is about stuff that seems to work for the actual patterns. So in goes that barbless hook. And I just don't know why we ever need anything other than a barbed hook, frankly, now. I mean, I did show you the damsel with a barbed hook, but that's purely out of, I suppose, the fact that it was there and I've always used it. Now, here, this is, has anyone seen the, this is that indicator foam in the yellow. This yellow works far better. You can get lots, if you look at the yellow that you can buy in foam, it's always that pale, sort of almost a primrose color. You want something that looks like a good yolk of an egg color, if you can get it. All right. So I just use.
Is that a size 10?
It is, but it goes down to a size. I tend to use it in a size down to about a 14, 16, Derek. Now, what you don't want is the sticky bit, and you don't want it too thick. So I just cut a slither, and I suppose it wouldn't make any difference at all, really, but and you don't want too much of it, but you just want to foam, and you'll see why. This dog is making some really weird noises.
Is he snoring again?
Yeah.
What?
Anyway, what I've done is I've got this slither here. Oh, there's a palm on this. Look, there. There's a palm, and it's just gone across my screen, and it's very unnerving. And it's gone across the cosmos, which is even more unnerving because it looks as though you're master of the universe. Anyway, so I've got that slither there. It's quite chunky, but it should be about 3 times the width of the hook. So when it folds back, it creates a real balloon, a real bubble. Now, the important thing is make sure that it's up by that eye of that hook, all right? That's really important. And don't worry too much about making this part of the thorax, because actually that's all to the good. So bind in that foam. So you've got this facing forward, so it's advanced, and you just take the thread down, right the way down to the bend of the hook. Okay. Very quiet, you lot. So I'm going to use it.
They're all on mute, that's why.
Yeah, thank God for that. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the same dubbing, if I may. That nice ambery color. It doesn't really matter. You can, on the smaller sizes, what I would use is this super fine dubbing there. It's got waterproof dry fly dubbing, but I've got some CDC on top, so I've got to be a bit careful. Again, moisten the fingers, sharpen the end, slide it, but I do take this a little bit round the bend of the hook, so it's going to sit, just puncturing the surface film. Okay. So grab that in. I think I've had more success bringing fish up to this pattern than anything in recent times. I use it a lot on the River Frome, which is, what, 20 minutes from me here as I'm tying. And when I see a rise in the evening, rather than just immediately go to a spinner pattern, I'll put one of these on, but a small one. Fish it on a size, on a 7X tippet on, there we are. Other leaders are available, but you know, that's what I use. That's but I tend to use 12-foot leaders on rivers and more. So quite a slim body. Now the next thing is to get some CDC. This just happens to be Irish duck CDC. I don't know if it makes any difference at all.
It does. It does.
It does.
Yeah. If it's wild duck, it does.
Where'd you get it from, Charles?
From Ireland.
Yeah. From a duck.
Yeah. From an Irish duck.
Camera's gone again.
Are you kidding me? There we
go. Perfect.
Yeah. And I because of the size of the hook, I've got about 3 fibers in there. Now, what I try and do is get the tips matched up. Okay. That's really important there. And just get it so it's as the bend prescribes that curve. Okay. I want that wing to just graze that curve and just rotate, and it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder why that's happened.
You press that little red button again.
I have there, and just prescribe that and just curve that around. Now it doesn't matter if they flutter about, that doesn't matter. I mean, you could take a pair of scissors to them, but I actually don't like doing that. So I'm just trimming that back to trim the butts up. But when I found that, I don't know if I'm alone here, but CDC can be incredibly slippery. Has any...
Done again.
Why is it doing that? Come on, you can do this. It might actually be full. I don't know. It could be. Now here I would get some dubbing, grey, grey animal dubbing, anything like that. Hare's fur, anything really that's quite natural. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce that other fly tying material of the damned deer hair. So I've got
when I use that, it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got some elk here. This is body elk. That's quite coarse. And my favourite, which is roe deer.
Yeah.
I love roe deer. I like it. It's not the easiest to tie with because it's quite hard, but the colour of it is amazing. And I've got this little tiny piece here that I got in a raffle. And I won a raffle. And I don't often win raffles. And I made a beeline for this. And I went past chocolates, booze, everything. And I said, don't you want it? I said, no, this is what I want. And it was the right colour, right everything. Now, it does need a bit of preparation. So I've got flea comb, moustache comb, whatever, and just get that fur out from underneath. And then into the hair stacker it goes. Quite big for this job, but there it is. Hair stacker. Wrap it on there. Keep your knuckles out of the way. So I'll do it up here.
Do it on your hand.
Sorry?
Can you see the ball of your hand there?
Yeah.
Back your thumb. If you do it on there, you don't get the noise.
Yeah, but you hurt your hand.
No, you don't. And you get less of that.
You're talking to the softy southerner here.
You bruise easily, don't you, Charles?
I do.
I'm a southerner. Southern Wales.
Yeah, well. I was going to say something and I won't. I daren't because my partner is from Newport. So.
That's not real Wales.
She's a Cardiff lass. So I've got to be very careful. So what is real Wales then? I'm not like
Cardiff up.
Well, there you are. Yeah. And I shall be in Ponty on Saturday night, on tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, with who? With number Terry.
I'll be with Terry actually. He's one of the nicest people I've met in recent times. Terry.
He's a Welsh boy.
Well, yeah, he is. He certainly is. And I'm using that elk because it's stacking a lot better. I wanted the tips to be at least partially in line. So why is it there are certain things one does that, and you know you're doing it wrong, but you always carry on doing it. And I always put too much elk hair or deer hair in than I actually need. Why do I do that?
We all do it.
Do we? Really?
We all do it.
No, it's a male menopause.
Just in case.
Darling, I'm through all that. Anyway, so in goes that elk hair on top. And just be very careful. Did you notice I just had a quick little look around the side? Because when you put a thread wrap in, don't forget your pressure is always going to be to the far side. When you pull down, your maximum pressure is always away from you. So it's causing that material, whatever it happens to be, whether it's deer hair, whether it's feather fiber. You know, when you get thoraxes on flies, and they always, or some, especially with me, they tend to gravitate to one side. Because of that, thread pressure is always going to that side. So to counter it, always, well, if you're fussy about such things, is just hold it into your body just a little bit, and you'll find that tends to counteract that. Right, so that's in, and I just want to trim those little bits and pieces out. The butts of that deer hair out there.
This is where your eyes start itching.
Sorry?
This is where your eyes start itching.
Yeah, well, I'm all right, actually. There's a lot. that's one thing about wearing glasses, I guess. Rather typically, I've got thousands of pairs of. I'm surrounded by scissors, but I can never find them when I need them. Now, it doesn't really matter about getting all this stuff out, but you know, it just makes the job a little bit easier. Now, I am going to go for a darker dubbing than that. Now, was it Stephen that said I have trouble with dubbing?
No, Chris.
Chris, this is a nightmare, this stuff. This is red fox squirrel. And this really does require you to get in there and don't be frightened of it. Whack it in, spin it, hold it, spin it, and you'll find that it'll just lock in place. And you get that lovely spikiness. Yeah. So there I've got a nice big old thorax, and I'm just going to fold this foam back and just finish there. Now, I'm sure that you've seen this tied many times, but that's the yellow. And the nice thing about when you tie that in is that the foam compresses the wing. It actually puts it in the right shape. It's very clever the way Roman came up with it, because he was insistent about the foam. And he was insistent about that way he ties. He didn't even worry about the thorax. I tend to worry about that. But it's as you go in and it just pushes that wing down. So you get that lovely sort of sedgy, tent wingy kind of a shape. And that's where you finish. Again, if you want a bit of security, get the thread on. What Roman does is he puts super glue on there, just winds it, and that's it. Just leaves it. Off he goes and fishes. It's great. You know, it works. We refined folk though. You know, I'm going to get in there with a whip finish tool and just finish off there. Not quite done yet. Cinch that in. Go in. When you're cutting anything, just hold that and just open the scissors to a little tiny V, little aperture, and just push. Saves the scissors. It's a little. You can use this craft knife as well. And then there, what I'll tend to do is just cut down like so. So I cut from the front down, so I get almost a little zephyr shape, and there it is.
Very nice.
Looked all day as well.
And yeah, you've got everything going on. But I tend to make sure that the elk hair is just a little bit shy of that CDC. Roman doesn't put the CDC on. I'm a huge fan of CDC on dry flies, not because they float, but they soften the descent. So there's almost a softening effect of CDC when it's coming through the air. So it doesn't go splat on the surface. It just descends. Because on the fish that I fish for, if you did that, frankly, you'd spook everything on the froom. They're all wild fish. They don't like that splat, because natural things don't splat unless they're beetles or ants or something like that. So that CDC tends to soften that descent. There we go. That's that one. Here we go. Number 3. Oh no, what have I done? Is that in focus, Derek?
Yeah, it's still fine, yeah.
Is it? Go for that. Right, now then, what shall I do now?
Anything you like.
I'll do the duck stun, shall I?
Yeah.
I need a hook for that. And as I said, I used to get so aerated with people just getting this thing wrong. I mean, it's not difficult. I mean, just ask me, tell you. I'm just tidying the decks because it's looking a little bit like an abattoir here now.
That's the elk hair.
Yeah, well, it's all sorts of bodily parts here now. This is a lot bigger than I would want to tie this fly on, but this really should be tied on maximum 14 down to 18, 20. This happens to be a size 12. Now, for this, I'm going to select a thread, not Dyneema, because it's disruptive. It's orange because I quite like the idea of it. If you look at many insects, their eyes are orange, and I just think it's a harmonic within the fly. The other thing is, for those of you that are relative newcomers to fly tying, does anyone have trouble getting abutting turns when they call touching turns, that you find that the whole thing strays a little bit?
No, not really.
You're all right with that, so there's no gaps or anything. But if you
hold the thread, yeah,
just hold it up like so, and you'll find that it drops down. Okay, well, you know that one.
A lot wouldn't be able to answer because they're on mute.
Are they nodding?
Yeah.
Please nod in.
Is he nodding off?
Yeah, thank you. I know that's really kind.
No, Paul keeps doing that, but he's not on here tonight.
Right, so the first thing
Ludlow Club taught me.
the first thing is that to get the most unusual fiber you can find, which is the jungle cock saddle. Okay, you know, the bits that everyone throws away. It looks a bit like guinea fowl, but not quite. And you want a few of those. You want just, you know, maybe 4 or 5 maximum. And they got a nice, delicious little curve on them. I'm going to lose that, aren't I? You little monkey. Anyway, I need to take that down a bit further. They are incredibly short, but they make great tails. And the reason I have such soft tails is when a dun, an upwing dun has recently hatched out, you'll notice that all the tails are crumpled up and very fibery. They're not stiff or spiky. They're really, really fibery. And I've just always felt that we always put our tails just way too stiff. You've got a hackle to support it. You've got this, that, and t'other to support it. Then, you know, why would you need this stiff hackle? I mean, there are times when I do, especially on spinner patterns, but not on this one. So the next thing is dubbing, and this is fly right, the ultra fine dry fly one, which can be a little bit awkward because it sort of gets globby. That's the only word I can use to describe it. It just gets globby. So I'd slide that up, but again, you can control it a little bit just by spinning and holding. And you can set up a really nice, pleasing, neat body by controlling that rat.
And you've got segmentation as well.
And you've got segmentation too. You can let it unwind if you want. Now you want to take that up about 3/4 of the body length, thereabouts. So I need just a fraction more. Always better to put too little on than too much. You can always add. And I'm not frightened of doing that and bringing it back just to get back to the point I want to get that taper. So that's given me a relatively even taper up that fly. Now, the next thing is to get a hackle. And it's really important that you actually do it in this sequence. So we've put the tail in, we've put the body in, now we're going to put the hackle in. And I tend to go for a light blue dun or a medium, this smoky blue dun is perfect. You can use grizzle. It really makes no difference. This is too good. It's way too good. Just measure it up. You know about measuring hackle, but you know, just make sure it just grazes the hook point. That'll give you your basic area to tie in. And so that looks about, that's a little bit on the long side. So we'll just take it up the shank, or up the stem rather. Shank, doing. I think that's going to be too long. I'm getting beyond myself here. I want balance, you see. And I always do this. I will discard an awful lot of flies. If I don't like them, I won't fish them very well. It's as simple as that. So I want flies that I want to fish with in my box. So I'm really not worried about the time I spent, because when I get to the water, I want to feel that that fly that I've got on is the best I possibly could tie for that situation. So if it takes me 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it doesn't worry me. It's not a production. You're not needing to make money out of this unless you're buying beer down at the pub and you've got to tie an awful lot of boobies to do it, Derek. So I've tied that in, that hackle in, and I like the length of it. You know, if we rotate it, it's going to, you can see that that's going to support that fly quite nicely. Now, the next job is to find 2 CDC fibers. It just so happens. And just make them concave to concave, so they curve away from one another, all right? But before we do that, this is the bit everybody gets wrong. Now, I'm going to just talk amongst yourselves for a nanosecond. Where are we? I want a bit of animal fur like that. There we are. That's good.
It's the dog.
What's the dog? Can you hear him?
No, I thought you were going to get some animal fur from the dog.
No. Oh God!
From behind his ear.
You're a bulldog.
I don't want anything. I don't want dark on this. So I've got some. I got some beaver fur, which is very difficult to get hold of. Of course, you just go up our valley, and there's any amount of it. So I've got some very, very soft underfur. Possum would do the same job. And I'm just running that through that area of the thorax, all right? Now I'm going to bring my thread back to a point just back from where I tied that hackle in. Does that make sense? Can you see that?
Yeah.
So I've got the hackle in there and the thread in there.
Yeah.
So it's about 3 wraps between them. Now I get the CDC, and just have a look, see if it's all in a line. It's not too bad, actually. I'm going to take out some of the glue. And whenever you do that, you just kind of dislodge it a bit. So just bring it back. And I tend to turn that, unlucky because I got a vise that turns, but I tend to turn that in so I can see that hackle, those wings just hit the bend of the hook, okay? Transfer my fingers and then just take a rotational pinch and loop or a soft loop around and pull upwards like so, all right? Now, the reason for doing that is that if you tie CDC in this configuration over a soft bed of materials, it stays in place. If you do it on a raw hook shank or a thread wraps, it tends to spin on you, and it doesn't hold position particularly well.
No.
I have found. So don't keep going back. Once it's in, once you've established that turn, that pinch and loop, that soft loop in, do it once, maybe twice, and then advance that thread forwards. Don't even go back, because it'll all be lost. So that's in. I'll trim that out. Now I can go back and just add a bit more of the animal fur. This is where you need someone passing you stuff. You need a glamorous assistant to... I know it's getting on a bit because the rooks are giving it what for outside. Again, moisten, just open up those strands, a little bit darker than the body coloration, because you're talking about the thorax, of course. I'm just going to go back, just tighten that up just a fraction, spin and hold. You know, you can be very, very accurate with this. Just a little look. See, I haven't got any thread wraps there. That is a few little gaps there, so I can plug that with that dubbing. And I'm just going to march that thread down to the eye of the hook. Bring, and this is important, make an angle, almost crease that hackle, okay? And get your hackle pliers. Any hackle pliers would do. Well, if you don't want to, this is so long, this hackle, it doesn't really need it. And this is the crux of this pattern. And don't ask me how I even came up with it. I have no idea. All I know is I was fishing in Austria, and Roman showed me some stuff I'd never seen before called CDC. And I think he was, you know, chummy with Fratnick and all those others. And he didn't tell me it floated or did anything extraordinary. But so I went back and thought, I thought, that looks perfect for winging of a dry fly. And so this is how that pattern came about years ago. And I just 2 or 3 turns up to, and those turns set the wing.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling them up and I'm setting the wing with those thread wraps, with those hackle wraps. And then I'll just march those forward through the entire thorax. Right the way through. It's funny tying a small fly on a big hook. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, it just, you know, you get the proportions all, you know, Anyway, so 1 turn over, 1 turn under, 1 turn over again, hold it back. And I tend to, with my signet ring finger, pinky, just steer those tips down to there, trim it out. And a couple of turns, and it's all done. There we are. But those fibers will set that wing just where you want it, just at the angle of a natural fly. And you've done all the work, so you don't really need to embellish it too much. So just in with that whip finish tool, or with your hands if you so wish. A couple of turns there. Job's done. There it is. Again, open up the aperture of the scissors, poke it forward. There it is. It's not quite done yet. So what we've got to do now is.
Trim off underneath.
Sorry?
You trim off underneath.
I'm not going to trim it off. I'm going to do something far more industrial than that.
Oh,
Slightly out of focus, Charles.
I know. Sorry, I turned it. Hang on.
Got a burner.
That's it.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
yeah, better.
So now I've got to turn. You're making me suffer here. So you just burn it on the underside there. And that will give it a
Footprint.
A footprint, absolutely. It turns them into little boots.
Yep.
Now, people, well, it did. Are you going to work? Come on. Come on. It might have died on me, this. No. Oh, no.
No, it's still burning away.
It is. And there it is. So it makes quite a nice little commotion. And there you have it, gentlemen. How to tie. Oops. Oh, no, now it's really gone. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that is the moment, eh? What's the time? It's 8 o'clock. I mean, I'm quite happy to do another one.
Yeah.
Is that
just out of focus slightly?
Is it? How's that?
No. Take it to your left.
My left.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. You take it to the left. It'll come to the center of the screen then.
Oh right. Okay. What's that?
Getting better.
That's getting better.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right. What should I do? Okay. Anyway, that's that one.
That's a nice fly, that.
Are you trying to suggest all the others are rubbish, Derek?
No, but I like that particular, especially the way the wing sits.
Yeah, I mean, it's just my go-to pattern, and it seems to be the go-to for a number of other people too. So, yeah, I mean, it stood the test of time. It's still in my box. I mean, I remember going down to fish Henry's Fort, which is notoriously difficult, and everyone said, "Oh, there's no fishing there. It's it's all rubbish. It's not working like it used to." Di-da-di-da-di-da. And I got down there, and it was difficult. But hang on, I'm trying to find a hook here. And I saw a couple of rising fish, and I thought, well, they won't eat English flies, I thought. Oddly enough, they did. And they loved it. And, I've taken it all over the world, and it's worked all over the world. And it's just a great pattern just to have in the box, really. Oh, hang on. No. Can you just talk amongst yourselves for a second? I have this. Right. Here we are. Here we are. It's about time we had some sort of a bead, I suppose. Is that still in focus, Derek?
Yeah.
Good. This is a variation on a theme right here. And it's going to be, I'm going to sort of be creating this, really, I think, more than anything else, as I go along. If I ever get into this packet. I was rummaging around for wood duck, and I gave a whole lot away and really wished I hadn't, because I really rather like wood duck as a material. Oh, he's really sending them home now. Right, so this is the G.E.Nymph. Again, same kind of
It's gone again, Charles.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. So it has. There we go. The same sort of lineage, really, as the duck's done. Maybe even before that, my guiding days. Alex would be able to tell you. Any guide will tell you what you do need is flies that are quick and easy to tie. You haven't got time to muck about, you know, because your clients are going to be losing them the whole time. So you need something that's relatively looks good and is relatively easy to tie. So this is one, I think it's coming to the end of its life, actually. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. It's been going for an hour. So anyway, so this is the G.E.Nymph. And I'm probably going to make this my last because I'm getting very dry now, you know, concentrating and stuff.
Time for a cuppa.
Yeah, I think so. And I'll lie down in a darker room, probably. No. I wouldn't have used beads in those days, and I certainly wouldn't have. It's gone. Yeah, no, I think we're talking the. How's that?
Yeah.
What have you used for the tail there, Charles?
It's wood duck.
Right, thank you.
It's slightly out of focus again, Charles.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now this is stuff that I got in the States, or I was given in the States, and it's called power cord. It's used in haberdashery and goodness knows what. I think we're getting to the end of this, actually, Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah, latex free, no fray, knots easily, stretchy bead cord. So you probably get it in where would you get it? In the big arts and crafts place. Yeah, eBay will probably do it. But with anything stretchy, tied it in at the head there, and make sure it's anchored, whatever you do. And then, it's going to go
on.
There we are. And really, trouble is, my vice is now moving as well. Is this a fly too far? I ask myself. Oh.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
How's that?
Slightly out of focus. If you take your vice to your left, keep going. Oh, it's gone off again.
Derek, we might have to call it on this one. There we go. I'll try and see.
Why don't you just tie the pattern and post it for Derek, and he can show us?
Yeah, okay.
You know, that's maybe the easy way.
Well, I'll do it as long as I can.
Yeah.
When I'll send all these patterns up for you. Now, next thing is to get any kind of feather fiber. This happens to be just Pickwick dyed hen pheasant, which is rather nice, I have to say. But any feather fiber, pheasant tail, whatever, really. I used to use, gives you some idea how long ago it was. I had some condor, which was beautiful. And it really was a condor moment. And I would ordinarily lay a very, very slender slither of super glue and wind over the top of that.
Yeah.
But what I really love about this is when you've got a pattern that's going wrong,
can reuse it.
Stage fright.
Use a
Sorry?
hackle plier.
Stage fright.
If I used a hackle plier, I'd probably miss out one thread or one strand, Derek, and it just go wrong anyway. So it's only got to make it a little. There you go. That. And I said this is going to be so easy. This pattern, a quick, easy pattern that you do as a guide. Right. So. No, I can't find my scissors. There you go. Isn't it funny? You soon know you're getting tired.
Yeah.
So take this the other way now. I'm very quiet because I'm
You know, open turns or touching turns?
any turn will do at the moment. I'm going the other way now. This isn't. Why is it when you have a pattern that starts to go wrong, it always goes wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah. You
can't resurrect it. It's just anyway.
That's all right.
Ish.
That's fine.
No, it's not. I've got a tail. It doesn't look happy.
Well, the catchfish, they haven't got to be pretty, have they? Let's be honest.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
They've got to sit in my box and look pretty.
No, only for taking photos of them.
No, they do. Honestly, they do. Anyway, so the whole reason of doing this nonsense was I wanted to show you this, and you probably knew this anyway, is a Defoe method of hackling. Now, do you know the Defoe method of hackling?
Not yet.
No. So you moisten the finger. You need a game bird, wood duck or partridge, anything like that. Any soft, fibery kind of material. Draw it back against itself so it looks like a wonder wing. Okay?
Yeah.
With me so far. Right, with that exposed tip,
trim it.
You just trim it away there.
Little diamond, triangle.
Yeah. And then you run your finger down, and the bulk of the hackle that you don't want, you just get out of the way. All right. Now, this is a lovely, quick and easy way of just creating a hackle in a very, very tight spot indeed, when you want that nice sort of leggy appearance. So just trim that out of the way. Trim that out of the way. And just tie that in on top, knowing that the thread will rotate round. And there they are. Just like that. So that's a nice, easy way of doing things. So you can put it on top of a thorax, you can put it underneath the wing case, you can do anything you like with it. But it does create that lovely, you can get into a very, very tight place indeed. And, you know, let's face it, we haven't got much to work with there. To finish that one, I mean, we could put a thorax on it. We could actually bring this forward. Actually, I will just encompass it. And the reason I'm choosing black is when you observe insects that are just about to hatch off, the nymph is invariably, I need to take that demonstration bit out now. There we go, that's done its job. Now, if I put a material down, I invariably again, lick my fingers and just pick it up like so. It just is a very, very quick and easy way of just managing the materials around you. I'll tell you who showed me that was dear old Donald Downs all those years ago. Don't know if you can all remember the late Donald. He was one of nature's nice people, really.
I'll tell you what, Charles, he used to have a walking stick with a big brass head on it, which he unscrewed half of.
Yeah, with a vice in the top. Yeah.
A fly tying vice.
Yeah.
And he tied me a woven, detached bodied mayfly.
Did he really?
Yes,
oh,
and I've still got it. It's a treasure.
Yeah. You know,
that was at the Leicester Fly Fishing Show. God knows how many years.
They don't make them like him anymore. They really don't, because the nice thing was that they weren't looking to do anything other than just be themselves and to project the sport in a nice way. They weren't looking to catch thousands of fish or anything like that. They were just trying to, I suppose, educate, really. And I find that so refreshing. I really do. So anyway, I've just darkened up that thorax a bit by putting in a very dark, it's a stickle dubbing. Oh, hello. Oh, someone looks busy there. There we go. So I've got a dark olivey dubbing. I've just darkened it with that, as I say, that dark stickle. So I'm just bringing that through. Ordinarily, I wouldn't put the bead in this, but I thought I haven't used a bead all evening. I might as well, really. Now, where are you? There you are. Need you. Get that either side. And that goes there. Couple of turns. Trim. I'm just going to bring that under there.
Thorax.
Oh, there you go.
I like the shape of that.
And I'm just going to, because I've got this protruding backwards, and I don't want that, I'm just going to do something which I do quite a lot and just fold it like so.
Oh, you've come in front of the bead, have you?
Yeah.
Right.
I just sort of semi-hidden that bead.
Yeah.
I want to finish. Jardine, you need to finish this fly. Thank you. And it just gives me it buys me a little bit more time there. Sorry, this is not my finest hour, this fly, but you get the vague idea.
What's it called? A Gina?
G.E.Nymph, General FM Optera. And because I haven't used it all night, and it's about time I did, I'm going to put some UV on there. Knowing at least it will hold together a little bit. Oh, this is tragic, this fly. Ugh.
I bet you that will catch fish anyway. I bet you it will.
Yeah, but look at that, how that, because I didn't think that orange was very fluorescent, but look at it, it's just picked that up straight away.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, you're probably right. But...
the rougher the better.
Yeah, yeah, we've said it before. Look at a hare's urine.
Yeah.
No,
I know, but
and all over the world, lakes and rivers.
There we go. That's it. Now I know I'm getting tired, but that it's actually, if you look at it on the underside, you've got that little blister of that's a 2 mil bead. You've got that little glimmer of silver, and you know, it actually look. I'm going to start tying a bunch with beads in because I never used to, and to be honest, I quite like that. I actually think that's going to work all right. That
is it tungsten or brass?
So it's a silver tungsten.
Tungsten, right? Well, you find little potholes, little holes in the river. You just put them in, and out come the fish, don't they?
Yeah. No, I think I've got a bit more faith in that than I had when I started. Gentlemen, I'm going to stop there because my eyes have gone. My mouth is getting dry. And I'm bored you senseless with this first ever foray in.
You haven't bored us, Charles.
Sorry?
No.
You haven't bored us.
Oh, thank goodness for that. But if you ever want me to do this again, I will. But I'd like to concentrate more on technique that would help people rather than, you know, randomly do flies.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
I go for that. Yeah.
We concentrate just purely on dubbing. I mean, bring in flies, obviously, but you know, there's various types. I mean, which dubbing can I dub with seal's fur? Can I dub with deer hair? There's a load of patterns that I use dub deer hair with.
It'll be interesting.
So if you want me to do this again, I'd be delighted to do it.
Magic. Thank you, Charles.
All righty. So,
Derek.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm going to leave you, and I actually got some chilled fizz in the fridge, and I'm going to open it.
You deserve it.
Yeah, well done. Thank you.